I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't even look angry. When my boss took my Super Bowl tickets, the ones I had earned, I just smiled and said, "Enjoy the game." He laughed. He thought I was weak. He thought I didn't know what he had done. 3 weeks later, he realized I knew everything, and by then, it was too late. I work in corporate sales for a sports marketing agency. We manage sponsorship contracts for major events, and every year the company runs an internal competition. The top performer wins 2 VIP Super Bowl tickets, flights, 5-star hotel, field access, private lounge. It isn't just about watching football. It's about status. It's about being seen. That year, I won. I closed the biggest contract in the department. Not just revenue, long-term revenue, multi-year commitment. The kind of deal that executives brag about in board meetings. HR sent a company-wide email. "You've earned this." Earned. That word matters. My boss, Greg, congratulated me in front of everyone. He even shook my hand. But his grip was tight, and his smile didn't reach his eyes. Greg liked attention. He liked being the face of success. Normally, he claimed credit for everything our team did. But this time, the numbers were too clear. My name was attached to the contract. Clients were asking for me directly, and that bothered him. 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, I received a calendar invite. Quick chat. When I walked into his office, the door was already closed. He didn't waste time. "There's been a change," he said calmly. I stayed quiet. Senior leadership believes it would be more strategic for me to attend the Super Bowl this year. Strategic. Interesting word. I blinked slowly. But I won the competition. He nodded like that part didn't matter. "And you'll still be recognized internally." Recognized. Without the reward. He slid a paper across his desk. It was some corporate excuse about executive representation. He wanted my tickets. He expected resistance. He expected anger. Instead, I leaned back in my chair, gave a small smile, and said, "Of course, enjoy the game." He looked almost confused. "No hard feelings?" he asked. "None," I said. And that's when the game really started. What Greg didn't understand was simple. The contract that won me those tickets wasn't random. It wasn't luck. It was built on relationships I had developed for over a year. The client I secured was one of the Super Bowl's biggest private sponsors, and they trusted me, not Greg. So that same afternoon, I called my contact. I kept my tone casual. "Who's representing us in the VIP lounge?" There was a pause. "Wasn't that supposed to be you?" she asked. "Change of plans," I replied. Another pause, longer this time. "That's interesting," she said. "Very interesting." Super Bowl weekend arrived. Greg flooded LinkedIn with pictures. VIP suite, champagne glasses, field-level access, smiling next to people who mattered. His caption read, "Proud to represent our incredible team at the Super Bowl." My phone buzzed all night with coworkers texting me, "You deserve that. That's messed up." I responded the same way to everyone. "It's fine." But in that VIP lounge, something important was happening. Sponsors were networking, discussing renewals, talking about future partnerships. And Greg didn't know the details, because he hadn't built the deal. When my client asked about specific contract clauses, he guessed. When asked about renewal projections, he exaggerated. When asked about flexibility, he overpromised. He was enjoying the game. He forgot about the contract. The following Monday morning, I received an email. Subject line, clarification. They politely asked about statements Greg had made. Numbers that didn't match the agreement. Commitments that weren't approved. I didn't rush. I reviewed everything carefully. Then I replied with facts. Attached the original contract. Highlighted key terms. Corrected projections. No drama, no blame, just clarity. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was my client. Why wasn't the original deal architect present at the Super Bowl? She asked directly. I paused, then answered calmly. That decision was made above my level. Silence. She understood. 2 weeks later, leadership scheduled an emergency meeting. Apparently, the sponsor was reconsidering certain terms. There were concerns about misalignment. Greg looked tense during the meeting. The CFO asked him directly, why were different revenue projections discussed at the Super Bowl? Miscommunication. Then the sponsor joined the call, and she said something that changed everything. Moving forward, we would prefer to work directly with Mason. Silence filled the room. Greg didn't look at me. The sponsor continued, he understands our long-term goals. That consistency matters. The meeting ended with forced professionalism. But the message was clear. A week later, I was called into the executive office. They weren't angry. They were cautious. Revenue talks were expanding. The sponsor wanted to increase the deal size. Multi-year extension. Higher valuation. But they had one condition. They wanted me promoted to senior account director, with direct oversight of their contract. That meant Greg would no longer control the account. The numbers were too important. The announcement was made quietly. Internal promotion. Strategic restructuring. Corporate words for simple truth. Greg lost the account. I gained authority. He called me into his office again. Closed door. You went around me, he said. I looked genuinely confused. I responded to client clarification requests. You made me look bad. I held eye contact. You represented us at the Super Bowl. He didn't respond. I stood up slowly. I hope you enjoyed the game. That line landed heavier the second time. Over the next month, something interesting happened. Other clients began requesting direct communication with me. Apparently, word travels fast in sponsor circles. Greg's influence started shrinking. Then, restructuring was announced. He was moved into a special projects role. Control. No major accounts. Official reason? Realignment for operational efficiency. Unofficial reason? Trust lost. A few months later, I attended a leadership event. Not as a guest, as a representative. Executive badge around my neck. Direct access. One of the sponsors joked, glad they sent the right person this time. I smiled. There's something powerful about staying calm when someone expects you to explode. Greg thought taking my tickets would weaken me. Instead, he exposed himself. He enjoyed the game. He enjoyed the attention. He forgot the details. And in corporate life, details are everything. The following year, the internal competition returned. Again, I was top performer. This time, when my name was announced, no one questioned it. No last-minute strategic changes. No executive override. I received the tickets personally. From the CEO. Funny thing is, When I sat in that VIP suite, I didn't post a single photo. I didn't need to. Because the real reward wasn't the gain. It was the leverage. He stole my Super Bowl tickets. He took my moment. I acted dumb. I smiled. I told him to enjoy the game. And while he was watching the final touchdown, I was building the next contract. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't fight. It waits. It documents. It lets people expose themselves. And when the final whistle blows, you're the one holding the deal.